Co-owner of Gianmarco's restaurant. Today we are going to be making a oyster and kale chowder, and it's for Chef Secrets. Okay, so what we're doing, most people when they think about soups, they think it's just like sauce. It's this 3-day affair, but it's really not. The key to anything in the kitchen is to have all your items, we call them mise en place, all the items you want to use ready to go before you start cooking. So, I mean, basically, this is a New Orleans themed dish. So we're starting with some smoked bacon, and just so everybody knows, bacon is not bacon, okay? Just like chicken's not chicken. It's all about the ingredients you use. We use a hickory smoked bacon for this because we don't want sweetness of apple. We don't want to use uncured bacon. So we use a really, really good bacon. Obviously, Trilogy, which is just green peppers, onions, and celery. We already blanched off some potatoes, and we're just going to get this all started. Start with our bacon, and you know, we can never have too much bacon, so we're just going to put it all in there, right? So anybody, and you know what, you don't have to use bacon. Anyone that doesn't like pork, you can use turkey bacon. You can use sausage. You can leave the meat out. And then we just want to let this bacon render down for a while. Okay. Once this bacon starts cooking, we're going to add our carrots, our green peppers, our celery, and our onions that we already have cut up. We usually cook the bacon first a little bit because number one, you want to release that bacon fat, and the other thing is too, you want to try to crisp it up a little bit because the last thing you want to do is have boiled bacon in your soup. So we try to get that a little crunchy. There are carrots. I keep saying carrots. I have carrots on my mind. I don't know why. Little Trilogy here. Alright, so see, veggies, bacon, a little bit of fresh chopped thyme. Always use fresh herbs. Dried herbs are basically exactly what they are. They're dry. They have no flavor. They're basically dead. And why would you want to cook with dead herbs? I don't know. This is just going to cook a little while. Nice bright colors. Once this comes up to a simmer again, we're going to add a little bit of flour. Alright? The reason we're adding flour is because this is going to be a stock and cream based soup. And we want to just add a little bit of silkiness to it, but we don't want it to be gelatinous like most of those other soups that you get when you go out. Clam chowders and all other kinds of chowders. It's almost kind of like you got jelly on a spoon. That's not what we want. We want to just have enough flour in here that we coat all the vegetables. And then this is the other thing too. Whenever you're cooking with flour, you want to let it sit and you want to let it cook for a little while so you can cook the flour out. Okay? So we'll just let it sit in here. You don't want to brown it like we're using a dark brew. All we want to do is just get these vegetables in here. Let this kind of sit for a couple minutes. Let that flour cook for a minute. What we've got over here is just a little bit of shrimp stock. We use 40 to 50 pounds of shrimp a week in the restaurant that we get with the shells on, and we use the shells to make stock. I don't guess people are going to be doing that at home, but y'all are lucky enough now that the supermarkets, there's a whole section now of all organic stocks that are low sodium, that are made with really good ingredients. So you can use vegetable stock, chicken stock, seafood stock. Whatever you want, it's your personal preference. The key thing to do with this so that your flour doesn't clump up, which is a lot of things people make the mistake of, is you want to start with your stock cold. That's going to bring the temperature of this down, enough to where we can stir it up and make what we kind of like to call a slurry. See how that stock brings that temperature down real fast? And then we just want to get a whisk, and we're going to get this all stirred up and pull all that nice baking fat off the bottom of the pot. See how that's nice and silky and smooth? There's no clumps. Once you have it to this point, you're going to want to add a little bit more stock, because then we're going to add the cream. So make one more little pot of stock, stir this up again, and you'll see it. As this heats up again, it's going to thicken. You don't ever want to walk away from this at this point, because what will happen is it'll stick to the bottom of the pot, and your soup is going to burn, and that's what it's going to taste like. It tastes like a pot of burnt junk. It's not what we want. Alright. We're making a big batch here, so we're going to add a quart of cream. But you can't just make soup for yourself. That'd be kind of sad. You don't want to be the lonely guy that makes soup for one. That's for sure. And you can put whatever you got in the fridge in this, you know what I mean? You can put asparagus in here, you can put broccoli, you can put Brussels sprouts, whatever you got going on in your kitchen at the time, you can add to this. Now this is the key point of this, because like I said, we have that flour, we have the vegetables, but you know what? Now we have to balance out the texture that we want. So you have a little bit more stock. I wouldn't add any more cream to this, but we need it to come to temperature so that we can check the thickness of this. Because like I said, we want it silken, we don't want it clumpy. In the meantime, I'm going to go over oysters right now. So these are Bon Secours oysters that we shucked this morning. Alright. Come out of Louisiana. You see how clear that liquid is? If you get oysters that have cloudy liquid in them, do not use them. If they're overly sandy and dirty, don't use them. You want them to be plump. Okay, you want them to be glassy, especially the liquor, because this is going to where the rest of the flavor of the soup is going to come from. All right, this is something we're going to add at the very end. We're going to take our potatoes and add this on here too, because this is going to help with the thickness of this soup also. Gotta keep stirring constantly. See how this is starting to thicken up again? Alright, that's the thing you have to watch, because the last thing you want to do is have this get too thick. You know, you can leave the potatoes out if you don't want the potatoes. This is, you know, soup's a very personal thing, I think. Just like pasta and a lot of other things. It's whatever you want, whatever you like. There's really no rules of ingredients. There's just basically rules of engagement. And that's, you know, like I said, see, this is getting nice and thick now. So in a little while, I think I'm going to add a little bit of stock in once this really comes all the way up to temperature. Look how nice and bright that is. I mean, that just looks really good to me. All right, we're almost there. We're going to get ready to add our kale in a second. All right, now kale's an interesting vegetable. There was a day when the only thing people outside of, you know, Italians, Europeans, African Americans, Southerners, all people used this for was to garnish buffet dishes with, right? This is what you put on the plate before you put that nice crudité on there, all right? But now all of a sudden they come out and say, oh, kale is the superfood. Well, you know, it always has been, all right? It's one of the most nutritious greens you can eat. The thing is you have to treat it like greens, okay? You can't treat it like spinach. You gotta cook it a little bit, you know? So kale's going in there. Now the natural liquid in the kale, once it starts wilting, it's going to let this soup get a little less thick also. I'm going to add just a little touch of stock to this. Come up to temperature. The other thing that people make the mistake of too is they season their soups and stocks and food before it's done cooking. Always season your food at the end, all right? Everything that's organic, everything that's natural, all has natural salts. You know, and the other thing is if you're using a canned stock, or anything from the supermarket, all these ingredients, check that sodium, all right? Low sodium still could be 18% of your daily allowance. So anything that's processed that comes from the store is going to be loaded with salt, so you got to be careful. All right. Now, since we're making a big batch of this soup, you don't want to put all your oysters in here. All right. What you want to do is you want to put the liquor in here. All right. That's what you call the juice that comes out of the oysters, is the liquor. So we're adding the oyster liquor to this. Stir that up. See, that's got a nice loose consistency. This is what we want right there. Push the stock to the back. Now we're going to season this. Coarse sea salt. Try not to ever use iodized salt, it's really bad for you. Fresh cracked black pepper. If you want it a little bit spicier, a little bit zestier, you can use some cayenne pepper. Lower our heat a little bit. So the oysters you want to add at the last minute, because all you want to do is plump them. If you add all these oysters into this big batch of soup, by the time you go to reheat it, the oysters are going to be useless. You have a separate little pan right next to you. You're going to take your oysters. And you only want to add oysters to the amount of soup that you're going to serve. Then we add our oysters with the rest of the liquor. They're going to watch as the oysters cook. They're going to plump up. And that's all you want them to do. You want them to retain their brininess. You do not want them to get tough. See how they're starting to plump up? As soon as they get like that, you're going to want to turn this off. That's it. That's done. That was pretty easy, wasn't it? I think so. And you serve this to people at your home, you're going to be a hero. That's it. And that was oyster and kale stew from Gianmarco's for Chef Secrets at BirminghamRestaurants.com.